Last Thursday started like any normal day. I was heading to a meeting when my phone buzzed. It was a WhatsApp from Skylar, my fiancée of 3 years. We were supposed to be getting married in 4 months. She sent a photo of herself at what looked like an airport departure gate. Eduardo, my best friend since college, had his arms wrapped around her waist. They were both grinning like they'd won the lottery. The caption made my stomach drop. Hey everyone. Before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. Finally free. Off to Dubai with a real man while you rot in your pathetic life. BTW, emptied your savings for our honeymoon suite. 50K well spent. Your mom's inheritance paid for his Rolex. P.S. I'm pregnant and it's not yours. Your emergency fund bought us a suite at Burj Al Arab. I just stared at my phone. 50,000. My mom's inheritance money. The emergency fund I'd been building for 8 years. All gone. I didn't reply. I just smiled, put my phone away, and went to my meeting like nothing happened. Inside, I was screaming, but nobody at that table had any idea my entire life had just imploded. Skylar and I met 4 years ago during volunteer firefighter training. We were paired as safety buddies during a smoke simulation exercise. I thought she was badass and fearless. We started dating a few weeks later. Eduardo was my groomsman when I proposed last year. Looking back, there were signs. So many signs. She'd been working late a lot. Her Instagram posts were all cryptic about finding true happiness. Sometimes the wrong choice feels right. Eduardo suddenly got interested in the same shows Skylar watched. They were always texting about logistics for the surprise party they were planning for me. What a surprise it turned out to be. After the meeting, I went straight to my bank and confirmed she'd drained the account 3 days earlier. $48,000 gone. She'd also cashed out the $10,000 from my mom's inheritance that I was saving to build the deck Mom always wanted at our new house. Mom died last year from cancer. Skylar held my hand at the funeral. I changed all my passwords, froze my credit, called my bank to report fraud. The bank guy looked at me with pity when I explained what happened. Joint account, so legally she could take it. Nothing they could do. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I was just calm. Terrifyingly calm. I went home, packed all her stuff into garbage bags, and dropped them at her sister Amelia's place. Didn't say a word to Amelia, just left the bags and walked away while she stood there confused in her doorway. That night, I blocked Skylar on everything except WhatsApp. I wanted to see what happened when her fantasy crashed. I ordered takeout, drank a beer, and waited. For 3 days, nothing. Then at 2 a.m. this morning, my phone exploded. I laughed, actually laughed, then sent her mom screenshots of the WhatsApp message. Silence. Then, oh my God. She started crying, apologizing, saying she had no idea, then begged me to help anyway. She's still going to be your wife. No, I said. She's not. I hung up and forwarded the screenshots to Amelia, too. The calls stopped. This morning, I met with a lawyer, filed a police report for the theft, even though the lawyer said it probably wouldn't go anywhere because of the joint account. Started the process to get a restraining order, just in case. I don't know how Skylar's getting home from Dubai. I don't care. The U.S. Embassy can deal with her. Her family can wire her money. Eduardo can magically reappear. Whatever. Not my problem anymore. What is my problem is making sure they both pay for what they did. Not just the money. The betrayal, the disrespect, using my dead mother's memory, like that. I'm planning something that will make them regret the day they ever thought they could screw me over. It's not about getting my money back anymore. It's about justice. Her sister texted an hour ago saying Skylar's not really pregnant. She just said that to hurt me, as if that makes anything better. I haven't slept in 24 hours, but I'm wide awake. The lawyer is helping me document everything. I've already contacted our wedding venue to cancel, told them to keep the deposit, and I'd explain why later. Tonight, my phone's still blowing up. Skylar somehow got access to a phone with international service, begging me to forgive her, saying Eduardo manipulated her, that she loves me, that she'll pay me back, that she made a horrible mistake. The only mistake was me trusting either of them. I'm not rushing to save her. I'm not sending money. I'm not responding to the texts. I'm planning, calculating, waiting. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. Update 1. It's been a week since my last post. Holy, what a week. Got home from work on Tuesday to find Skylar sitting on my front steps like a stray cat, all puffy and pathetic looking. Apparently, her mom finally wired her enough money for a basic economy ticket home after the U.S. Embassy in Dubai made her sleep in their waiting room for 2 nights. She looked like absolute trash, still wearing the same outfit from her airport photo, hair greasy, mascara all over her face. My first instinct was to just drive past my own damn house, but I didn't. I parked, walked right past her without a word, and unlocked my door. She lunged at me, grabbed my arm, started crying about how sorry she was, how Eduardo manipulated her, how she'd do anything to fix this. I shook her off and told her to get off my property before I called the cops. Showed her my phone with 911 already dialed, just waiting for me to hit call. She backed up but kept talking, louder now so the neighbors could hear. Classic Skylar move, always needs an audience. Said I was being cruel, that she made one mistake in 4 years and I was throwing away our whole relationship. One mistake? Stealing $58,000 and my dead mom's memory isn't one mistake. It's like 58,000 separate crimes. I just went inside and locked the door. She kept knocking for almost an hour before giving up. That night I got a text from an unknown number. It was Eduardo. Said he was back in town and wanted to explain everything and make things right. Said he'd pay back his half of the money as soon as he could. His half, like they split my money 50-50. I didn't respond. Next morning I took the day off work and went to see my lawyer again. I've been documenting everything. Screenshots of all texts, her WhatsApp message, call logs, bank statements, showing the exact time and date she emptied the accounts. My lawyer helped me file for a civil suit against both of them. Since we had a joint account, it's complicated, but the inheritance money was only in my name, so that's straightforward theft. Turns out Eduardo and Skylar had been sleeping together for at least 6 months based on texts I found on our shared iPad that she forgot to delete. They'd been planning this Dubai trip since February, calling it their freedom launch. Eduardo even made a shared note where they calculated exactly how much they could take from me without it being too suspicious. Too suspicious? They took everything. Wednesday night, Amelia showed up at my door. Surprisingly, she was actually decent. Said she was horrified by what her sister did, that their whole family was in shock. Apparently, Skylar's been staying with their parents and spinning this whole story about how I was emotionally abusive and controlling with money, which is why she had to take her share before leaving. I pulled out my phone and showed Amelia the screenshots of their freedom launch planning. Her face went white. I also showed her our Venmo history, me sending Skylar money constantly for 4 years while she was between jobs or had unexpected expenses, over $20,000 in transfers on top of paying 70% of our living expenses because she said her job didn't pay enough. Amelia actually started crying, said she had no idea that Skylar had told everyone I was this controlling monster who never let her have money for herself. Turns out Skylar had been telling her family for years that I was borderline abusive, setting the stage for this theft to seem justified. I asked Amelia why Skylar did this. Amelia hesitated, then said something that actually made sense. Skylar has always been jealous of people who have more than her. She dated me because I was stable and had savings, but resented me for the same reason. She saw my financial responsibility as some kind of personal attack on her own spending habits. Eduardo told her she deserved a more exciting life than what I could provide. Thursday, I found out Eduardo works at a small marketing firm that handles several clients I have connections with through my work. Sent an email to his boss with screenshots of Eduardo admitting to the theft and participation in emptying my accounts. Didn't ask for him to be fired. Just said as a potential client I wanted them to be aware of who they employ. Got a response within hours saying they were handling the situation. Not my problem what that means. Friday morning, I went to the bank and closed our joint account. Opened a new one at a completely different bank. Changed all my passwords again. Updated my address on everything. Put a fraud alert on my credit. Checked and Skylar had also maxed out our joint credit card. Another $12,000. Added that to the civil suit. Friday night, Eduardo showed up at my house unannounced, drunk and belligerent. Started yelling about how I got him put on leave at work. Pounded on my door so hard my neighbors called the cops. When the police showed up, I gave them copies of the restraining order paperwork I'd filed. They took him away. Didn't arrest him, just made him leave. But now there's a police report documenting his behavior. That same night, Skylar's mom called me, actually apologizing this time. Said she and Skylar's dad had no idea how deep this went, that they were appalled by her behavior, asked if there was any way we could resolve this as a family without courts. I laughed and hung up. Saturday morning, I went through our wedding website and got the email addresses of all our guests. Sent a mass email explaining the wedding was canceled because Skylar had stolen my savings and run off with my best man. Brief, factual, no dramatic details, just the truth. Then I deactivated all my social media accounts so I wouldn't have to deal with the fallout. I'm not interested in online drama. I'm interested in justice. Sunday, I finally heard from Skylar directly again. She showed up with Eduardo, both of them standing on my front lawn. Eduardo looking sheepish, Skylar looking determined. They had a check. It was for $12,000. The first installment, they called it. I took a picture of them holding the check from my window, then closed the blinds and didn't open the door. That check is going straight to my lawyer. It's an admission of guilt. Today, my lawyer called. We have a court date for the civil suit in 3 weeks. He thinks we have a solid case for at least the inheritance money, possibly more. I'm not done yet, not even close. I found Skylar's new address through a mutual friend. Sent certified letters to her, Eduardo, her parents, and her workplace, detailing exactly what happened with copies of all evidence. Her workplace has a morality clause. Doubt they'll keep her once they know she stole from her fiancé. My next steps are already planned. This isn't about the money anymore. It's about making sure they both understand you can't do something like this without consequences. I may have lost $58,000, but they're about to lose a lot more than that. Update 2. You guys asked for an update, so here it is. 2 weeks since my last post, and holy, the situation has gone nuclear. Remember how I sent those certified letters to Skylar's workplace with evidence of what she did? Well, it worked better than I expected. Got a call from someone in HR there last Monday asking for more details. I didn't give them anything they didn't already have, just confirmed what was in the letter was accurate. By Wednesday, Skylar was on leave pending investigation. By Friday, she was officially let go. Eduardo is still unemployed. Apparently, when potential employers Google his name, my civil suit comes up in the search results. Not my problem. What's wild is how quickly our social circle has completely fractured. People are taking sides, and it's actually kind of fascinating to watch from a distance. Last week, I finally reactivated my Instagram, kept Facebook deactivated because Facebook is toxic AF. Within minutes, I had like 20 DMs from mutual friends all asking what happened, saying they'd heard crazy stories from Skylar. According to these messages, Skylar's been telling everyone that the money she took was rightfully hers from our wedding fund. She never said she was pregnant. Eduardo forced her to go to Dubai. I'm violently unstable and she feared for her safety. I literally laughed out loud at number 4. I've never even raised my voice at her in 4 years together. The screenshots I sent back shut that down real quick. A group of our mutual friends were having a barbecue on Saturday and invited me. I was hesitant, but decided to go. Needed to get out of the house anyway. When I showed up, it was weird, like walking into a room where everyone had just been talking about you, which they probably had been. Jeff, one of my oldest friends, pulled me aside right away. Said Skylar and Eduardo had been contacting everyone in our circle, trying to spin this ridiculous story about how I was financially abusive and controlling, how she had to take what was hers before leaving, because I would have never allowed her to have her fair share. Jeff didn't believe any of it. He's known me since high school, seen me help Skylar financially for years, but he said some people were confused, especially those who only knew me through Skylar. I didn't argue or try to defend myself, just showed Jeff the WhatsApp message and bank statements on my phone. He actually said, "What the fuck?" out loud. Told me to send him the screenshot so he could show anyone who was still on the fence. Halfway through the barbecue, my phone started blowing up again. Turns out Jeff had shown the screenshots to a few key people who showed others. And suddenly, Skylar was getting absolutely destroyed in our group chat. I stayed out of it, just sipped my beer and watched the chaos unfold on my phone. Someone added Eduardo to the chat and started tagging him, asking how he could do this to me when I'd helped him get his last 2 jobs. Eduardo left the chat without responding. Sunday morning, I woke up to find Skylar had posted this long, dramatic Instagram story about cyberbullying and harassment, and how people don't know the real story and should stop believing lies. Without naming names, of course. Several people tagged me in the comments asking for my side. I just posted the Dubai airport WhatsApp screenshot with the caption, "The only side that matters," and left it at that. Her post was deleted within an hour. Monday was the first genuinely weird encounter. I was at the grocery store grabbing stuff for dinner when I ran into Skylar's mom. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. She started walking toward me, and I seriously considered just abandoning my cart and leaving. But I stood my ground. She stopped a few feet away and just said how sorry she was, how embarrassed their family is, how she raised Skylar better than this. Asked if there was any way we could handle this privately, without the court case. Said they were willing to pay back everything, plus extra for the emotional damage. I told her it was too late for that. The court date is next week. Her actions have consequences. She started crying right there in the cereal aisle. Actually grabbed my arm and said Skylar was desperate, that she might do something to herself if this keeps going. I carefully removed her hand and said that was manipulative emotional blackmail, and if she was genuinely concerned about Skylar's mental health, she should get her daughter professional help, not try to guilt-trip me into dropping a legitimate legal case. She called me heartless. I just walked away with my cart. Tuesday, I got a text from Eduardo asking to meet man-to-man to work this out. Said he was sorry that he got caught up in Skylar's plan, that he'd been in love with her for years and she manipulated him too. I replied with a single word, no. He sent like 15 more texts getting increasingly desperate, saying his parents were asking questions, that he couldn't get a job, that his girlfriend left him. Didn't even know he had a girlfriend while planning to run away with Skylar, but whatever. I blocked his number again. Wednesday brought the biggest surprise. Amelia, Skylar's sister, showed up at my place with a USB drive. Said she'd found something I should see. It was a video Skylar had recorded on her phone a few months ago. She was talking to someone off camera, sounded like Eduardo, about how they were going to take Austin for everything he has before leaving, laughing about how I was too trusting and wouldn't see it coming. She specifically mentioned my mom's inheritance, saying it was just sitting there and I was wasting it on building a deck instead of living life. Said I was pathetic for saving so carefully when life is meant to be enjoyed. Amelia was crying when she gave it to me. Said she found it when helping Skylar move some files between her old phone and new one. Said she couldn't keep this secret anymore, that Skylar had gone too far. I copied the file and gave the USB back to Amelia. Thanked her for doing the right thing. She asked if I was going to use it in court. I said, absolutely. She nodded and left without another word. Thursday, my lawyer called, said Skylar's lawyer had reached out about a potential settlement, They were offering $75,000, the original $58,000 plus $17,000 for legal fees and damages. I said no. Told him about the video Amelia gave me. He was silent for a moment, then said, "This changes everything." Said we should ask for $150,000 minimum now, given the clear premeditation and malice. I agreed. Friday, I got home to find my house had been egged, real mature. My doorbell camera caught Skylar doing it at 2 a.m., clearly drunk. Sent the footage to my lawyer and the police. Added it to the growing file. Today is Saturday, 1 week until court. Eduardo texted from a new number saying he'll testify against Skylar. Tell the court it was all her idea if I dropped the case against him. I didn't respond. Let them turn on each other. Just got word from a mutual friend that Skylar showed up at her parents' country club last night, got wasted, and started loudly telling everyone who would listen that I was ruining her life over a little borrowed money. Her dad had to physically remove her from the building. They've apparently been suspended from the club pending review. The social destruction is happening all on its own at this point. I barely have to do anything. People who enable entitled behavior their whole lives eventually have to face consequences. That time has come for Skylar and Eduardo. Court is next Friday. I'll update after. Final update. Court day finally came. Been building to this for weeks now. Figured you guys deserve the final update since so many of you have followed this show from the beginning. Got to the courthouse early on Friday. My lawyer told me to dress nice but not flashy, so I wore the navy suit I was supposed to wear to my cousin's wedding last year. Hadn't worn it since buying it. Kind of symbolic, I guess. Was sitting on a bench outside the courtroom when I spotted Skylar and her parents walking down the hall. She looked different, hair pulled back, minimal makeup, wearing this conservative gray dress like she was cosplaying as a Sunday school teacher or something. Her parents looked like they'd aged 10 years. Her dad wouldn't even look in my direction. Her mom kept dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. Real tears or courtroom theater? Who knows? Eduardo showed up 5 minutes later alone. No lawyer with him. Weird. He tried to make eye contact with me, but I just stared at my phone. My lawyer arrived and we went over last-minute details. He seemed confident, said with the video evidence Amelia provided, plus all the texts and bank records, it was basically open and shut. Right before we went in, Eduardo approached us. My lawyer stepped between us immediately. Eduardo said he wanted to settle. Said he had $15,000 he could pay right now, plus he'd signed something agreeing to pay back the rest over time. My lawyer asked where the money came from. Eduardo mumbled something about selling his car and borrowing from his parents. Lawyer said we'd think about it and walked away. Didn't even consider it. $15,000 was nothing compared to what they took. Inside the courtroom, it was weirdly anticlimactic at first. Just a small room with the judge, court reporter, and us. No jury or anything. Civil court is way less dramatic than TV shows make it seem. What was dramatic was when Skylar's lawyer tried to paint me as financially controlling and abusive. Claimed Skylar was escaping an unhealthy relationship and only took what she thought was fair, given how much she'd contributed emotionally to our relationship. My lawyer just pulled out his phone and played the WhatsApp video. The one where she's literally at the airport saying she emptied my accounts and used my mom's inheritance for Eduardo's Rolex. The judge's face, man, if looks could kill, Skylar would have spontaneously combusted right there. Then he played Amelia's video, the one where Skylar's laughing about taking me for everything and calling me pathetic for saving money. Eduardo is clearly visible in the background of that video, nodding and smirking. Skylar started crying, saying the video was just them joking around and taken out of context. The judge wasn't buying it. Eduardo tried to claim he was manipulated by Skylar. Said she convinced him I wouldn't care about the money, that it was practically hers anyway since we were getting married. The judge asked Eduardo if he helped spend the money in Dubai. Eduardo couldn't lie. There were hotel receipts with his name on them, receipts for the Rolex, restaurant bills for hundreds of dollars a night. Then the real bombshell dropped. Skylar's lawyer called Amelia as a witness. I was confused at first. Why would they call the person who gave me the video evidence? Turns out Skylar thought Amelia would back up her story about being forced to go to Dubai. Instead, Amelia completely threw her sister under the bus. Testified that Skylar had bragged to her months ago about planning to take Austin for a ride and cash out before leaving him. Skylar jumped up and started screaming at her sister, calling her a traitor and liar. The judge had to bang his gavel several times and threatened to have Skylar removed. It was the first time I'd seen Skylar's mask completely drop in public. The entitled, angry person I glimpsed in those videos was fully on display. Her parents looked mortified. The judge called a short recess. When we came back, Skylar's lawyer had a completely different tone. Suddenly, they wanted to settle, offered the full $58,000 plus $25,000 in damages. My lawyer countered with our original demand, $150,000. Skylar's mom gasped. Her dad put his head in his hands. They tried to argue it down to $100,000 total. My lawyer wouldn't budge. Finally, after some back and forth, they agreed to $140,000. The judge asked if I was satisfied with this amount. I said yes, not because it was enough for what they did, but because I wanted this over with. We signed the settlement agreement right there. Skylar's parents would pay $70,000 immediately. Clearly, they were funding this. And Skylar would pay the rest in monthly installments of $1,500 for the next 41 half years. Eduardo agreed to pay $30,000 of the total, selling his car and emptying his savings for the initial $10,000, then paying $500 monthly for 3 years and 4 months. The judge made it very clear if they missed a single payment, the full amount would become due immediately, plus interest and additional penalties. As we were leaving, Eduardo tried to approach me again, said he was sorry, that he'd made a terrible mistake, that he hoped someday I could forgive him. I just looked at him and said, "I don't think about you at all," then walked away. Skylar didn't even look at me as she left with her parents. Her mom was openly crying now. Her dad just looked defeated. Outside the courthouse, Amelia was waiting. She apologized for her sister's behavior, said their family would never be the same after this. I thanked her for doing the right thing, then got in my car and left. That night, the money notifications started coming in. $70,000 transferred to my account from Skylar's parents. $10,000 from Eduardo. Suddenly, I had $80,000 that morning that I didn't have the day before. First thing I did, transferred $10,000 to a separate account earmarked for building that deck in memory of my mom. Second thing, put $20,000 into a new emergency fund. The rest is going toward a down payment on a house, one without memories of Skylar. Sunday morning, I woke up to 50 texts from mutual friends. Apparently, Skylar had a complete meltdown at a bar Saturday night, started screaming about how I ruined her life and how she'd get even someday. Someone recorded it and sent it to me. I forwarded it to my lawyer immediately. He said if she made any actual threats, we could file for a restraining order. Told me to document everything. Monday morning, I got an email from Eduardo's mom. She apologized for her son's behavior, said she raised him better than this, that he was facing the consequences of his actions, and she wouldn't bail him out anymore. Tuesday, I ran into Jeff at the gym. He told me Eduardo's parents kicked him out of their house where he'd been staying since losing his job. Apparently, he's crashing on someone's couch now, working at a fast food place, trying to make his monthly payments to me. Wednesday, I heard from Amelia again. Said Skylar's been cut off financially by their parents, except for the money to make her monthly payments to me. They're making her get a job at their friend's retail store and live in their basement until she can support herself again. They've also mandated therapy for her twice a week. Apparently, the therapist suggested Skylar has narcissistic tendencies and has never faced real consequences before. Shocker. Today, I went to the bank and closed all my old accounts, opened completely new ones at a different bank, changed my address, my phone number, my email. I'm systematically erasing every connection to my old life. The house I've been renting, giving notice next week. Found a small place across town. Not as nice, but no memories there. My revenge wasn't some elaborate scheme. It was simply holding them accountable for what they did, making sure they couldn't just walk away from it, making them face consequences, financial, social, and legal. I could have settled early, could have just walked away, but that's not who I am. They thought I was a pushover they could steal from and disrespect. They were wrong. Now Skylar has to make payments to me every month for nearly 5 years, a constant reminder of what she did. Eduardo lost his job, his car, his savings, and his parents' trust. They both lost almost all their friends. Is it petty that this makes me satisfied? Maybe. Do I care? Not at all. It's been exactly 1 month since that WhatsApp message from Dubai. 1 month since they thought they'd get away with stealing my money and my dignity.